Hey YouTube, what's up? Good evening. Welcome back to the Practical Life. This is Ashley Nicole. I hope you all can hear me. It looks like you can. Um, I wanted to go live because, as you all know, we have a verdict. The verdict is in, and we need to discuss what's next. Thank goodness we got the first part of Justice for Dre. Andre Montgomery, rest in peace. This is just the first step in getting justice for him. But I wanted to come and kind of talk a little bit about what is next as far as trying to get justice, get peace, get healing for really both sides of the family. But before I get into that, again, this is the Practical Life. Welcome back. This channel is all about mental health. So, this is where you can get your questions answered for yourself or someone else. If you or someone you know is trying to move their career, move the needle in their career, getting to that next level in their career, or trying to manage their mental health in the workplace, I am the person for you. All of my information will be in the description box. But I wanted to make sure that I came. I told y'all I was coming on Friday evening to talk about this this week's wrap up. I was thinking like, okay, when is the jury coming back? But the jury did their job, honey. So a few housekeeping items. This is a loss really on both sides, and we want to make sure that we are respectful. I appreciate all of the engagement and everything like that, but please make sure that you're respectful in the comments. We can all agree to disagree, right, on some things, but the jurors have deliberated, and it was more than what, 17 hours over, maybe like over what? This is the third day, and they found James Timothy Norman guilty on two federal M for hire counts and one charge of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. So we have gotten justice for Andre in this first part, right? But we have got to think about really, and we talked a little bit about this before, what this has really caused, right? For both sides of the family. Now you can look at this story from different parts, right? You can look at it from a legal perspective. You can look at it from a business perspective, and you can also look at it from a mental health perspective. And so that is my part in this whole, and kind of reviewing this whole story is really looking at it from a mental health perspective, trying to figure out, how we got here and how we can do better, and understanding and trying to figure out again how something like this could happen within a family. Now, we all know that, I mean, this is probably things like this happen, right? This is like nothing new. We've heard of all kinds of stories where, this is happening in families, and families, you expect for your family to be close to you, right? And you expect that you can trust your family and things of that nature. But things like this do happen because even though they're your family, they are still people. And people make mistakes, and people get upset, and people have emotions, and people don't know how to cope and deal with those emotions effectively. So when you have something like that, then these are the type of results that you get. But I just wanted to touch on in general, I think one of the biggest things aside from you know Miss Griggs has lost her son, and that is something that nobody wants to have to ever go through, right? But I also want to make sure that we kind of talk about from a mental health perspective how this is going to affect um Tim's son as well, right? And so we can imagine that having a parent that's incarcerated is like kind of like grieving a parent, if you think about it. Because now I don't know if he was how involved he was in his son's life, or anything like that. I'm just speaking in general. If a child has had to experience their parent being incarcerated, right? So, what are some of the effects of that? Because you got to realize, even though his mom has moved on, his son's mom has moved on, and she's married and things like that, that doesn't negate the fact that this is still his dad. And being that social media has gotten this story and caught on to the story and things like that, it is forever ingrained on the interwebs. So as this child gets older, think about the psychological effects that it's going to have on him, right? Let alone other family members. So let's talk about first I would just want to, make sure again that everyone is respectful. And I look forward to looking at you guys' comments in the chat and things like that. But this video, anything that I talk about, is fair use. All of the information that I've gotten is from news sources, and from the verdict that was pulled down today regarding James Timothy Norman and the charges against him. This video is just my opinion based on my personal experience, my knowledge, and my expertise in the mental health field. So just want to make sure that I get that out there. So now that that's out of the way, how would someone's parent being incarcerated affect them? I mean, we could imagine that, okay, you may not see them as much, right? You may have memories of having to go visit them and things of that nature. But really, when you look really deep into it, how this could really affect a child long term. And I'll get into it. The some of the immediate effects of, because it's kind of grieving a parent, especially if you were around them or saw them. And we know that this child was on a TV show, right? So they would naturally have memories of being with their dad, even though, and I talked about this before, nothing can get in the way of the relationship with your dad, right? Like, you don't care what he did wrong, you don't care what he didn't do, whatever. That is still your dad, and you always will have, a special place for your dad. So as this child gets older, what are some of the immediate effects? Now, we don't even know how long, we haven't even gotten to sentencing yet. So we don't even know how long this sentence will be, but we know that, some time is going to be missed from this child's life. So in growing up, a child could feel shame, right? Shame about, okay, especially because things are on social media, right? Shame about what has happened, or the fact that something like this happened within the family. There could be stigma with them socially, right? Can you imagine this child going to school and people talking about it, or the teachers know, what has happened and things like that. And sometimes, and I'm sure some people have experienced this, sometimes some teachers unknowingly, right? They treat kids a certain way based on what they've heard, and it may not be per se that they're outright treating them poorly, but they may not be getting the same treatment as another child, would, based on what they know about their family or what has been heard about their family, right? um Loss of financial support to this child, there could have been many more funds available for this child, or support given to this child, if the father was, supporting him, right? And that's going to be a loss for him, right? The ties to his parent are pretty much at this point lost. I mean, and that could be based on how the mother feels about the dad, right? And how all of this stuff came about, and how, he went to social media talking about, allegedly talking about the mom as well, right? So the ties between him and his father are kind of broken. Now, studies have shown that kids who have parents that are incarcerated, they have poor school performance, they are more likely to be delinquents. There may be an increased risk of abuse or neglect, and this all kind of depends on the environment that they're in. It appears that now this child is in a great environment. Still, they're in a two-parent household. The mom, is really, he has kind of like a brand new family, really. And it looks like that they're doing well with raising, the children that they have and things like that. So he may be uh, less at risk, but studies show that, again, this is his family, but he still has some ties, emotionally, probably, to his dad. Now, so as an adult, sometimes when you talk about them being more likely to be a delinquent, right? Because you have a family member, especially the dad. Now, this is the second time the dad has been in trouble. You see what I'm saying? So, some people say, oh, this is, of course, it could be learned behavior, but also this child is in a better environment. So I feel like it's less likely, but you never know. But there sometimes could be behavior problems in school based on the feelings that they have that they're not around their parent, right? Their parent is incarcerated. Um Now there was one story where I know I always talk about this story in Florida where the mom allegedly the brother hired someone to hurt the ex-husband, right? And the two kids they had were so close to the dad, and there was some implications that allegedly maybe the mom had something to do with it, right? And so she changed her kids' names because her kids had already kind of been on I guess someone leaked their pictures and things like that. And she didn't want them going, matriculating through school and people kind of knowing them and associating them to what happened with their dad and all of kind of the drama on the back end as far as that. So she went as far as to changing her kids' names. And I want to say she changed their first and last names. I think she did, because she didn't want anyone to treat them a certain way based on what they heard or knew about whatever happened to their dad. Um, and some people disagree with that, and some people may agree. Tell me what you all think. Because when you think about the long-term effects that this could have on kids, where especially with a case like this, right? See, this is what I'm saying. This could affect the child even up to the point where, they go to school, they graduate, they trying to make business deals and stuff like that. And based on the information that people know about what their dad did, what their dad was, accused of, and what their family, that could you know, that could, allow them to not be able to get business deals and make money and things like that based on what somebody think about their dad. And it's not right that people think that way, but that's just what it is. That's just, people just think that way. They be like, oh, I knew who he was because his dad was the one who did this, and this and had to go to jail for this many years, and that was his thing. They'll get into the whole story. Now, the child may not know that, right? But then they end up not closing the deal. And this may be an outlandish example, but it could happen, right? People don't want to do business with him based on what his daddy did. That could absolutely happen, right? Um, and also we are in the internet age, right? So when this child gets to be a little bit older, who knows what social media is going to look like, y'all? It's changing every day. Who knows what the internet is going to look like when this child gets older? Can you imagine? You think people leaving comments now? Can you imagine? And you would think that nobody would do that, but people behind a computer, baby, they say anything because they're behind a computer. right? And some people can take it and some people can't. So if this kid got to have a private Instagram, if the mom let him have Instagram, if the mom let him have TikTok, if the mom let him have what does it call when they play the game, the video game, Twitch, if the anything, it's got to be very protected, because these people will come into the comments, try to leave him messages and things like that, saying negative things about him because of the dad, right? And this is where Tim, you got to think ahead when you doing something. Like, that's why I said, out of all this stuff you did, you mean to tell me at not one point did you think about your son, his future? Like, this could really affect him. Now also, again, back to studies that have been done. Having a parent in prison or jail is linked to a greater incidence of that child going to prison or jail. Also, they have an increased risk of poor health. And y'all, these are studies. Okay. A Hill, thank you. Welcome to the live. The child knows and can limit themselves even more than what other people think. It's been said Tim's father had criminal tendencies and was married when he died and Tim was born. Right, right. So you never know, because okay, you could, like you're saying, that Tim's father, okay, he was married, had a family, things like that, appeared to be, you know, I don't want to say doing well, but just had a family, right? And sometimes people look at that, okay, if you have a family, you're on the right track, stuff like that. But then you don't know what way the kid gonna go. I mean, we don't know what way the other child that they have is gonna go either. But this child is more likely to get into some trouble because of the psychological stress based on what their father did, right? Because I would think that I think any parent, and it's just my opinion, would try to probably shield him from certain things, right? To not see certain things, to not know certain things, but you always gonna have those questions. Well, what happened? Well, did he really do, because that's your dad. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not able to see him, right? Because you, as the child gets older, they might understand the reasons why they can't see him, but it's always those questions lingering, like, okay, well, I want to ask him for myself, especially as they get older, right? I want to know for myself and ask the same questions that everybody else has. Well, what happened? Well, why? Right? So we don't know. We could say, you know what, maybe he is more likely to not get involved in certain things because of the type of environment he is in now, but you never know, because it's that mental part that you don't know about, right? Um so they're more likely to have poor health. They are more than likely diagnosed with ADHD, maybe having behavioral or conduct problems, and sometimes learning disabilities as well. So these are studies that have been done of children that have parents that are incarcerated, y'all. So these are the implications that all of this has on, we're not even talking about we're not talking about the Griggs family, Andre's family. We're not even talking about Tim's family. We're talking about the next generation, not even the next generation, right, of his son, and how he's going to grow up and what he's going to feel and what he may, more than likely, some of these things, he might go through. Tell me what y'all think, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is on a whole nother level. Um, they are more than likely to be diagnosed with anxiety disorders, have developmental delays. They're 3 times more likely to have, again, behavioral problems or depression, right? Than children that, don't have a parent that's incarcerated. And twice as likely to suffer from learning disabilities, again, ADHD, anxiety, things like that. So I hope that At some point, I don't, because I don't know how old the child is, but at some point they put the child in some type of counseling to be able to learn coping skills, you know, on how to manage their feelings related to not having their father around, because maybe it could be, I don't know, that he wasn't seeing him before, but maybe he was able to talk to him sometimes. And at this point, he probably won't be able to do that. You know what I mean? So how is he going to be able to kind of manage that throughout the time that the father is not there? And again, we haven't even gotten to sentencing yet, so we don't even know how long this is about to be. Um, Now this moving along to Miss Robbie, Lord have mercy. Mm-mm-mm. Uh, so, what are the psychological effects of really a mother losing her son? Now, Miss Robbie has already lost one son, right? But she lost this son once before. Now she losing him again, right? This is the 80, is she 82-year-old woman. What psychological effects does this have on her? Put everything else aside, right? Of, feelings regarding Miss Robbie, about the situation and things like that. There are psychological effects that she's going to have. First of all, what are the implications to her business, right? What are the implications to her business? You know, it's going to be, I would think she would have some kind of stress related to that. Am I still going to be able to keep my businesses open because of what people think? Is she going to be safe? Um, A Hill, I work with other workaholics who have children in my years. A lot of their children have learning disabilities, attention disorders. They also experience separation, right? So, her having anxiety about, is she safe? um, is she going to be able to make money from the business still? I feel like, in my opinion, just based on this type of situation alone, that the business name is tarnished. Like, it's going to forever be associated with this, you know, and that is one of the sad parts as well, because this could have been handed down to generations and generations and generations. You know what I mean? And now we can't even do that based on one person's decisions, poor decisions, um, social issues. It seems like to me, Miss Robbie, she's an older lady by age, but it seems like Miss Robbie is still social. Seem like she go out with her girlfriends, honey. It seems like Miss Robbie go out to eat. She might have a little drink here and there or something like that. Seem like she might still travel and things like that. So how is this going to affect her socially? Because we know allegedly during this trial, like, she didn't really say anything. She didn't want to answer any questions, of course, But after this, people still got questions. And they got questions for her too. So is she gonna, does this make a person go into hiding, you know? Um, Not really going out as much, not being that social, because even if there people are not asking you questions, you might be thinking, well, what are they thinking? you know, and things like that. So I would imagine that it's going to be hard for her, right? What about the shame that she might feel? The shame she might feel, any regret that she might feel about, what happened, what was said, what wasn't said, um, you know, things of that nature. The guilt she feels, and again, the grief. She's lost a grandson, and now she's losing her son again, right? So it seemed like it appears that there might be a lot of stress, a lot of, again, shame, regret, guilt, and grief. And now when parents have a child that is incarcerated, how are they affected? There has been studies that show that there is an increase in major depressive disorder, right? Because again, we talked about this before about mothers and their sons. You know, it's some mothers that they don't, it's hard for them. I won't say they don't, but it's hard for them to uh hold their sons accountable, right? And they might say, okay, well, they said they did it, they got some time, oh, but they shouldn't have got that much time. Or it was only this, or nobody looking at the whole story. It's like they don't want them to take accountability for some reason, right? So it's kind of like, remember what her quote was like, this is like a marriage. This is like a marriage. And so I would think that she has to have a lot of support around her. This is the second time that she may feel like that she has lost her son. And I don't know, maybe she might feel like her son is being taken away from her. You know what I mean? So she may go into a state of, possible depression, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, right? Sometimes with these parents, there's a decrease in their quality of life. It's kind of like, okay, well, my son was here, he called himself taking care of the restaurants. We had all these restaurants open. Now it's like, okay, now who's going to do it? Now who's going to keep the restaurants afloat, right? And really, who else does she really trust? I mean, because Tim, allegedly, didn't he say that he was the one flying back and forth to empty the safes? So who's going to do it now? I mean, the mom is 82 years old, right? Right, school? Like, you know and again, what school is saying, about childhood behavior, when one or more or the other parent is missing, right? Now, in this situation, his son, because I don't know, I heard that he had another child, but I haven't heard anything else about that. If he does, I mean, the child probably is very young or something like that, but this child gotta be in his first one, gotta be in elementary school, right? Gotta be in elementary school. And when I say these kids in elementary, oh, they know more than you think. They say more than you think they're gonna say. Because you gotta remember, these kids go home to their parents, and all parents are not careful about what they say in front of their children, right? All parents are not careful with turning off the TV or turning off the news when their child comes in the room or something, and things like that. So the kid is watching, hearing, listening to what the parents saying, to what the news is saying, and baby, they're gonna take it back to school. They're gonna take it back to that school, and then another child is gonna get. So you don't know if he's in elementary school. You don't know what he's hearing now. Again, he right now has a two-parent household because the mom got married, right? The mom got married, and he may be the best stepdad in the world, but that is not his dad, right? That Tim is still his dad. And at some point in his life, he is going to find out or figure out or hear about where his dad is, why he's there, and the circumstances surrounding that. And how do you I feel I empathize with Janae, because how do you prepare him for that? Now, he's not only, let's look at it a little bit deeper. He's not only losing his dad, he may have lost a little bit of the relationship that he had with his grandmother, because allegedly before, didn't they say that, didn't Miss Robbie, she was on Instagram live saying that she hadn't seen her grandson, Tim's son, and she wanted to see him, and she said she wasn't able to see him and things like that. So that relationship is tarnished, right? So we don't know how this is going to turn out with his son. So, I that's why I say, even if he's in elementary school, He needs to start talking to somebody now. You know, they have counselors in elementary schools that talk to the kids. They do social and emotional classes with them, even in kindergarten, and stuff like that. You know, they'll go and talk to them about feelings and things like that, that it's okay to express your feelings. They teach them, you know, how to express your feelings effectively in a positive way. You know, don't hold it in, it's okay, you know. And school, I was thinking about that too. Some people will argue that that might be true, that it can be inherited, that it could be, it's something that's ingrained, you know, in you. You never know. I don't know, I'm not going to quote any studies, but I'm sure it's studies that probably have been done about that, but I don't have them on hand right now. But that is a valid question. That's a valid question. um Okay, so let's see. So parents, right? So they're doing more studies about how, trying to figure out how a child's incarceration, how much how much of a negative effect it will have on a mother's health, right? So more studies or more research are, you know, is being done about that, because I can see is you know, I'm going to look out for those studies, because a lot of the clients that I have, a lot of families that I've seen, the mothers do not want to make their sons take accountability. You know, even with like young kids, I've seen parents, um they will discipline daughters more than they discipline their sons. Um, you know, they will be more consistent with discipline, you know, with the discipline for the daughter than the sons. It's something about that son and that mother relationship. Um, so now, some things have said that, you know, parents have higher rates of heart attacks, strokes, heart failure. And of course, this typically is going to affect African Americans, because, you know, we are at a higher rate, you know, of incarceration than other races. So, you know, when you look at that, and then this lady is 82. How is it that she is 80? Think about this, y'all. She 82 years old, and her son is going to jail for a second time. And I mean, he got how many counts? Guilty on how many counts? Was it three? Two or three? Three, right? Two or three. And so how long is he about to be in jail? You know, I mean, you don't want to say it, but the lady is 82. How much longer, you know, is she going to be able to you know, wait for her son to get out? I don't know. It's just ridiculous what the decisions that this man had made. Now, let's talk about the cousins. More specifically, I think I was wanting to talk about Tim's cousins, more so like his siblings, right? Because he grew up with them and things like that. It seems that he's a little bit more, you know, he's more closer with them. So imagine the guilt that they feel too, right? And then them thinking about future means of the business, or how the business is going to turn out, um and their means of making money as well, because they all really kind of what got popular off of the show. You know, it was a means of it was their probably part of their livelihood as well. So how is this going to affect them and their families, right? And when you talk about a loss, any loss, now if this show, what did they say in court? What did now? This is all if Tim was child. Well, I ain't no telling if it was. We don't know if it's the truth. They said something about he was making 50,000 a week. Now the cousins, they were on the show. They probably got a little piece of something. So any amount of financial loss, and this is in general to anybody, you're gonna feel some stress. You're gonna feel some stress. Because if you were on TV, if you were on the own network, right? You now are in a certain, in my opinion, you're in a certain bracket of popularity at this point, whether the show is not on anymore or not. People know you because your family's show was on, and it was supposedly a family show, right? A family restaurant, a family business. So this could affect your livelihood because you were on the show, you're part of the family, right? And so this could affect your means of making money for your family based on stupid decisions that your cousin made, right? And now, I mean, I would, I'm sure that they have questions. I'm sure it's like on one hand they support him because he's a part of their family, but on the other hand, they probably still got questions too. Maybe, I would imagine they probably, of course, didn't know every detail, everything that went down. Some of the stuff that was probably said in court, they probably didn't know. And I mean, I would imagine somebody got to be like, now what is going on, right? So, what is their future going to look like? It's like, do they have to start at square one? Hopefully, hopefully, they were able to learn some of the things because as Robbie is still here, right? Learn some of the things she did and some of the, maybe the moves that she made to be able to sustain her business and so that they can start their own business. Kind of like then I think that was Bruce. Then they say Bruce, he moved to Houston. He has his own like catering company or something like that. He got the game and he didn't moved on. You know what I'm saying? It was like a stepping stone for him. So it appears that the family, cousins and stuff like that, that is what they're going to have to do. Can you imagine them going anywhere? Like I just think that, I mean, there's a level of some people that say, I don't care what anybody thinks, I know my family and this like things like that. But you still thinking like, okay, what are people saying when they see them? You know, just because they are his family. Now on to, let me know what y'all think in the comments. This could really affect people psychologically. Now Miss Griggs. Now I don't think we've heard really anything from Andre's mom. Um, but this is, and I think some people want to hear from her. But when you talk about mental health and you talk about the psychological effects of losing a child, and on top of that, losing your son, I don't know how many kids she has, but losing one is too many, especially the means in which he was lost, right? And so this lady is grieving. And it may seem like she should be able to say something and she should be able to speak on his behalf and things like that. But this is like losing her son and going through that whole thing all over again. So she may be at the point where she doesn't want to talk. She her What she could do is what she did, was to go to St. Louis and to sit in that courtroom and to listen to all of that stuff that led up to her son, being unalived, and to see the pictures that were shown, to listen to other people's accounts, 911 calls and the people that were in the house. Can you imagine having to sit through that? So that's probably all she can muster up. That's probably all that lady can muster up. I hope and I'm sure that when she's ready, right? When she's ready, then she probably will say what she has to say. The way Andre's sister talk about how they treated. Yes, yes. Now on the flip side, okay, now let's look, because I like to look at both sides. ML, see, ML comes in here, and then I start thinking about this other stuff. Now, Andre was 21 years old, right? And this is probably me just I definitely don't want to come off as harsh, or because I don't know the circumstances of their family, right? I don't think that, okay, at some point I see how they're saying, Tim didn't want to share a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Now you say you was gonna help him and take care of him, but you don't want to share a piece of the pie, right? And that he was living, wasn't living good. He was living in a little, place, and he had to call the driver to take him to work. Well, shoot, I was thinking he called a driver. I thought they was getting ready to say he had to get on the bus and he had to have a bus ticket. But he was called, the driver was taking him to work. That's luxury, ain't it? Now that's just me. At 21 years old. Now, it's a fine line between helping your nephew, right? And your nephew, and she's upbeat. I'm just like, yeah, I think I saw the sister, but I didn't see the mom. I thought that was her sister that was speaking. I didn't know which one was the mom. Um, it's a fine line between helping your nephew and and you seeing that your nephew is helping himself, because you are trying to groom him into being a man, right? So at some point he has to do for himself and learn how to get it himself, right? Now you can help, and I can get, what I'm saying, I can set you up, but you got to be looking at the game, you know what I'm saying, and take some initiative and help yourself, because you are 21 years old. You are an adult at this point. So I don't know if I agree with him just kind of, and I don't know if they were saying that he should have been just giving him because he had it. I don't think that's true for any family. That any family should do that. Like we talked about before, a lot of these wealthy families, they tell them kids, who was that? I'm about to think, it's on the tip of my tongue. Is it Steve Harvey? No, Judge Mathis. Y'all seen his show with his kids, his family show. He got a reality show, his family. I think I seen maybe 2 episodes. And he told them, 10 claimed he had 7 cars and Andre couldn't drive one of them cars. Right. Okay, so see, I probably would be mad if my uncle told me, dang, I can't even drive it like one day, right? But you look at Judge Mathis show, he told them kids, who? My money? Uh-uh. You ain't getting my money. You better figure out what you're going to do. I don't know if you're going to have to go to school. I don't know if it's going to be you opening some kind of successful, some lucrative business, but don't count on what I got. Now, Judge Mathis, he wasn't stingy either. Like, nah, y'all can't use my black card and nothing like that. But he was sure looking at him like, what card you about to pull out? And how much you put? He asked that one. He asked that one son, how much you planning on spending? And y'all know Judge Mathis, he probably got it, but he looking at them kids like, don't count my money. This ain't your money. I mean, I'm your family and everything, but you got to figure out how to make it on your own. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to, if you fall or whatever, or if you need a little bit of help, you need a little bit of money, you need something to eat and stuff like that, fine. But don't count on me every day to kind of figure it out for you and basically give you the plan for your life. You gotta want to do something. Now you graduated high school. What is next? What are your plans? And you should be working towards that. And everybody got to start from the bottom. I don't, your family might have money, but they might have been the type of family that say, okay, we started from the bottom and worked our way up, and this is what we got now. Everybody got to do the same. And now you got a little bit more privilege than some other people, because now you got an uncle, you got a grandma that already made it, they're able to help you, but you not getting ready to drive no Rolls Royce every day now. 21 years old. And we all know that 21 year olds are not that responsible. They might think they are, but they don't make good decisions. They want to floss and they want to show off what they got. Whether if the uncle, I know if it, I can only speak for me, child. If it was me and I was 21 and my uncle said, "Here, you could drive, you could drive the road, girl, don't give me them keys. I'ma be in everybody's neighborhood." That's what 21-year-olds do. Cause you want everybody to know that you got a rose. And they know it ain't yours. But you getting ready to roll up everywhere. Cause you ain't thinking. All you thinking is, oh, I'm in a Rolls Royce, honey. My uncle didn't let me drive this Rolls. I'm good. Right? So he may have been thinking, St. Louis a rough city. No, you ain't finna drive one of these cars. Not without me. Not without me. So I don't know if I agree with, I think that I don't think he should have been living in squalor. You know what I'm saying? But I think that he needed to have some type of initiative and responsibility for himself too, you know, as well. Um, he had seven cars, and Andre could could drive one of the cars. Hey, Unc says you can't drive. Unc says you can't drive it. So his mom probably did, going back to his mom, she could muster up only that, and I've seen some moms. Hold on, y'all, let me get some water. I've seen some moms where they couldn't even go in a funeral, y'all. They couldn't even go in a funeral. It's you know, it hurts that bad. ML Tim lied about paying $30,000 for Andre's tuition at Nelly's music school. That was a lie. What? I didn't hear that. Only thing I heard was that he got him in, but well, who paid the money then? Who paid the 30? The Miss Robbie? Who paid the 30? Because that right there, that opportunity, that was a big opportunity to get into that school. Um, you know, that is if it's a 4-year wait, that is at the top of the line for music schools. Um, so yeah. So she is grieving. She's grieving the loss of her son. She's also grieving the life that her son could have had, right? She's never going to experience, the grandkids, the kids he could have had, him getting married, him graduating college, just him being successful in life. She's not going to experience that, right? And that is grief. That's a loss. Helping the child to learn structure and responsibility is one thing, but being mean and abusive, right, to the child while teaching child is unacceptable. Right. Because I haven't forgotten, I have not forgotten when I saw on that show where he I saw him like hit him in the chest and stuff. And I think Miss Robbie, didn't she come out there yelling at Tim saying you can't be treating family like that? Didn't she say that? Because I said, why in the world did he hit this boy like this? But yes, I agree, school. Helping children to learn structure and responsibility is one thing, but being mean and abusive towards children while teaching children is unacceptable. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you gotta remember, he wasn't his dad, you his uncle. You know what I'm saying? And but then too, sometimes men are different with uh, you know, they have a different view on how to raise kids, especially young men. And they do it in a different way. Um, because sometimes, sometimes you see it as a, and I hate to say it like this, but as a woman, you look at it, you like, wait a minute, that's kind of harsh, ain't it? That like, wait a minute, now calm down, cool off a little bit now. Don't do it that way. I mean, I want you to discipline them, but not that way. It's kind of like, do you want them to be responsible young men or not? Because I'm telling you, if I try to discipline my son, he try to get over on me, child. He try to get over on me. And he know he can butter me up, and I say, okay, go ahead and do it. Go ahead, even though you in trouble, go ahead and do it. But my husband, he be like, no, and don't ask me again. And when he say it, baby, that is it. That is it. Miss Robin and I, Caroline J, they use him. That's man. I don't know. Like, I would hate to think that. I really like. I feel like it was so many. If you a script writer, you could have wrote a whole bunch of stuff that was entertaining. Like, you needed him for the script. Like it. Why? Oh, I don't know. I just feel like I just don't know. It's just so many unanswered questions. Um. So now I feel like Miss Griggs, she is grieving all of that. She's grieving the loss of her son, grieving what his life could have been. She probably feels a lot of, probably some level of guilt because uh, her son went to St. Louis, and she, kind of talked to him and agreed that he would help him and things like that. Like, how y'all got to think about how does a mom that lost her son, like, it would be difficult to live with that, and think about that. But now we're not to sentencing yet. So you've got to people, you got she's probably going to make an impact statement. I hope so, because I remember in that same case I talk about all the time for Florida, where this man that was unalived, his sister, his mom and dad, they had victim impact statements because it was three people that were accused of hurting him. Three people, yeah. The lady, the ex-wife's brother, the brother's ex-girlfriend, and her, I think it was her baby daddy or her ex-boyfriend or something like that, right? And the man that was unalived, his sister, his mom, and his dad. The sister wrote the statement because they couldn't be there or something. I think they were either on Zoom, but one of them, they weren't there. And baby, when I say that sister laid that statement out, she had in her, but you got to remember too, this man was he was actually, I think he was a professor, but he was a lawyer. He was a law professor at one of the like prestigious schools in Florida or whatever. And the ex-wife was a lawyer. She was a law professor. I don't think the sister was a lawyer, but she laid that statement out, and she quoted case law. She had specifically the reasons why he should get this much time and how many years this person should get based on this specific case law. This is the amount of years this person should get based on the children losing their father. um and this is a huge loss to them, and this, I mean, it was long. That thing might have been about 3-4 pages, and that lawyer read each and every word to that judge. And when I said, oh, they got that case law in there. They got that case law in there. And I honestly thought the lady that was involved, they said the one that allegedly hired the people, that they was gonna get her, she wasn't going to be convicted because it looked like she didn't really know what was going on. But maybe apparently she did, child. She got convicted, and she had three little kids of her own too. And baby, that buddy's in jail. You hear me? That buddy's in jail. But yeah, so hopefully Miss Griggs, she makes an impact statement. Um, to let the court know how her family has been impacted by her son's loss, and how difficult it has been, for her and things like that, because that sometimes too, that does matter. Because when I was looking at that case, I was like, oh. And when I say the judge, you could tell the judge was really listening, like, you know and nobody said a word or said anything until that lawyer was done reading that fourth page. um so yeah, but I would imagine it's going to take a lot for her to do that. And it seems like the sister, the oldest sister, she has taken, she's the voice of the family right now, and she's able to kind of get up there and speak, and speak for her mom and things like that, because right now the mom probably can't, she probably can't. um, and then also, I feel like Miss Griggs, just like everybody else, she's left with questions. Even though you may have felt like, okay, yes, I know this person did it and things like that, like, you still want to know that lingering question, why? Oh, Miss Griggs spoke outside the courtroom and said she feels like she got you. Okay, okay, okay. Wow, wow. So she did speak outside of the courtroom. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Now for Tim, child, what be going through these criminals' minds, especially if you a repeat offender. You would have been to jail before. So why in your mind? What is it in the mind that allows you to go through with something like this? That allows you to put all these steps together? Like, it's like you want to be in jail. That's how I feel. Like, you must want to be in jail. Maybe you was so stressed out about, oh, because see, now you was in jail, you ain't got a care in the world. You got three hots in a cot. You might not be able to go outside that much. You could talk on the phone. They say that people in jail, they do everything. They could use they could be online, they could do all of this stuff. And ain't got a care in the world, ain't got to pay nobody, ain't got no bills. But you come out here, now you gotta run how many businesses you done open? You gotta run all of that. Then you got to empty the safe. You got to manage all these different people, all these different personalities. That is stress. That's stress. Right? You gotta deal with not being able to see your son. You got problems with the baby mama. Your mama didn't sued you for how much she suing for? 100 million? Was it a million? I'm probably being dramatic. But you had to deal with all of that. That's stressful. But with the three hots in the cot, you ain't had that type of stress. So did you? It's like you want to go back. You want to go back because now you ain't got to deal with none of that. Now you might not be you just ain't got that type of freedom no more. But you ain't got to worry about paying nobody. I mean, maybe you want to go back because this don't make no sense to you. So then you have maybe, of course, maybe people are saying that probably he's going to appeal and things like that. But that'll probably be, a ways from now when we know information about that. And the next one is the next steps are what? The sentencing. When is the sentencing? I think I heard maybe December, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. But when it comes to, mental health, and from, a mental health perspective, in my opinion, the next steps for everybody is grief counseling. You know, grief counseling for everybody, for Tim's son, for his mom, Miss Robbie, for Miss Griggs, for Andre's siblings, maybe family counseling for Miss Robbie, her sisters, Monique, all of them, family counseling, because we have got to figure out how we are going to move forward now with our lives based on this situation. I feel like everybody needs to be in some type of therapy or counseling. And Miss Robbie specifically individual counseling because and I mean maybe she probably don't care. Okay, sentencing is December 15th, 2022. Thank you, ML. Maybe Miss Robbie for ML, I mean Lord for individual counseling because and maybe she don't care because she 82 child. Miss Robbie didn't live her life. Miss Robbie didn't live her life, honey, and she on the move, okay? And so maybe she, it really don't matter to her at this point. But I find that a lot of older people, when they get to that age, they start thinking about the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? I should have did this. I could have did this, or I hope I did this, or and so then that could lead, to a state of, some mild depression and things like that. But I feel like she need individual counseling to figure out how we got to this point. How did we get to this point? How did we get to the point where my son is in jail for something like this? I mean, we could imagine, but I mean, like I said, she's older now, so she probably is, not thinking that way. But she definitely would need some individual counseling to deal with the loss, losing her son. And then too, who's going to support the son? Miss Robbie? Like who getting ready to put money on his books? Miss Robbie got to do that too? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. See, that's why I draw the line. Did a crime, do the time. I don't know how you gonna eat. Cause you shouldn't have did this mess. I don't know how you gonna eat. I feel bad. I do. I feel bad for you. Cause you my son. But do the crime, do the time. So you should have thought about how you was gonna eat when you was doing all this mess. That's what I had to say to him. And it'll hurt me. It'll hurt me to the core, baby, if it was mine. But just like on wood, if it was mine, it hurt me to the core. But you cannot just be like, okay, well, he need this. I'm gonna put some money on it. Because you're 82 years old. You shouldn't have to be doing that. That's ridiculous. Right? So grief counseling for everybody. Um And then also, I had here too that I feel like the family needs therapy to talk about and to maybe not figure out, but to talk through how being, and for lack of better words, famous, right, affects families, right? Because they still have like some kids in their family who are growing up and things like that, because again, when you talk about the OWN network, this is not like PBS. You know what I'm saying? Like people know of the OWN network, people know of Oprah, like this is something that every generation pretty much knows about. So it's like, oh my god, your family was on the OWN network. It's going to be replays and replays of show clips and things like that. So the kids who are growing up in the film, okay, we need to figure out how to be proactive and how to move accordingly and maneuver accordingly based on our family kind of gaining popularity or based on this show. Right. So yeah, so that's what I had, y'all. I really, just wanted to come and this will probably be, I'm sure. Well, I ain't gonna say that. This might be one of my last videos about Tim, because we already know what the verdict is. We already know sentencing is coming up, and I really, I'm all about mental health, so I wanted to talk about what the psychological effects would be to a family that's kind of going through this, y'all. um I think more and more things are going to come out. um at this point too, what happens to the family when it comes to safety? I was thinking about that too, because you never know what people are thinking, and some people may be glad about the verdict and some people might not be. Like, I feel like they always got to watch their back now, and who want to live like that? Because people in this world are, they don't think. People have their own ideas and opinions about what they think happened. They don't care what happened in a courtroom or what was said in the courtroom. They have their own ideas and opinions, right? And some people may get ideas in their head and ain't no telling how they act out. You know, it's just so many things that um could happen as a result of this whole thing. Um so yeah. So I hope you all enjoyed this live. I'm gonna get up out of here. Um, hopefully, we'll have some victim impact statements and see if that has an effect on how much time this man gets. I just can't believe that somebody would do this to their nephew. I don't know. I just don't understand it. Um, so I'm sure we're all left with questions still. Everybody has their own questions, but I hope that I was able to shed a little light on, the psychological effects on kids, families, moms, right? Grief counseling for sure, cousins, the whole family regarding something that happens like this. Um, and I hope you all got some value from it. So make sure that you like, comment, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed thus far. If you haven't, what are you waiting on? This channel is all about mental health. You can get your questions answered here. And I'm all about making sure that mental health is not a taboo topic. We want to break the stigma related to mental health. It's okay to talk about schizophrenia. It's okay to talk about bipolar disorder, right? People are living every day with these diagnoses. So we want to make sure that we talk about it and we understand it. And I want to empower people to be able to do that. So, if you haven't subscribed thus far, if you feel so inclined to join us on our journey to 1,000 subscribers, everyone is welcome here at The Practical Life. And again, I hope you found some value in this live. I don't know, I might be back again tomorrow. It depends. It depends. But I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.